Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of For What It's Nerd. Today, I thought we would discuss the Echo trailer that dropped the other day, as well as the Marvel article dropped by Variety a few days earlier. Now, a lot of people have been saying for a significant period that Marvel is in, as people are now saying, shambles. And this is the Variety article kind of goes up to town on this, saying that they're looking at bringing back the original Avengers. They're looking at pivoting to Doctor Doom over Kang due to Jonathan Majors' let's say his, how do I put it, his ongoing court case. Let's say it that way. Let's leave it at that. I don't really want to get into the debate of that because that's not really the point of this discussion right now. But of course, Jonathan Majors has been accused of some bad things. Let's put it that way. Kind of understatement, but there you go. And of course, that is something that Marvel needs to consider. But the idea is that they're probably going to, they were saying that the rumor is that they were thinking of pivoting to Doctor Doom. Now, regardless of all that, it does seem like this is very much a poised hit piece on Marvel, and a lot of the rumors have since been kind of allayed by other sources, or so I've heard. Not saying that these sources have come directly to me, but from what I'm hearing of a number of things going on and around. But again, at the same time, there's also rumors, for example, that Robert Downey Jr. has signed on again as Tony Stark. So we'll see. I don't know what to believe at this point regarding some of those rumors. Most of the Avengers are still around anyway. Thor, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, a number of other Avengers are still around. So it's not like the team isn't there technically, and it's not like they still haven't got a lot of their legacy characters. I mean, you could very easily do a 90-year-old Captain America, him coming back kind of worn but not gone, not done kind of thing. I don't know. You could technically. He's still got the super soldier serum in him, right? But the point is, I don't know whether I believe this, and I don't know whether I think this hit piece was fair. I think media in general has been subpar for a number of years, and Marvel's part of that. But the only reason people are saying about Marvel is because it hit such an upward trajectory at a time where a lot of things weren't going so well. A lot of reboots, Star Wars, for example. The DC wasn't going particularly well. The other franchises weren't really quite strong at the time, and it feels like because other franchises are kind of getting off the ground now, DC is doing a reboot. You've got some stronger franchises that have come out in the meantime, like, for example, The Boys, and of course that spin-off Gen V, and which I haven't watched, admittedly, but I know that they're good. I've heard that they're good, and obviously accept that as part of what's going on currently. I think it's just that Marvel has kind of slightly slipped out of pace with the rest of what's going on at the moment, and they're getting contenders again, and that's a good thing, though. Let's remember this. Marvel is looking less good now because A, they had a monopoly for a bit, and thus they weren't trying as hard to innovate and change and do new things. And B, the market's changed. There's new things coming into place now that people are liking, people are enjoying. And so Marvel needs to really accommodate that and change their tact toward that. So a lot of people have been saying, oh, Marvel, this sounds horrendous. Marvel just doing really badly. There was also, as usual, the typical hit piece on She-Hulk saying that She-Hulk cost more than, like, I think it was the Avengers or something like that. It's like, okay, yes, but that's because A, the Avengers was made in 2012. How many years ago is that now? Sorry, I'm trying to think. That's 2012. We're in 2023, 11 years ago. First off, things have gotten more expensive. That's how things work. Second off, we're in a recession. Third off, technology's gotten more, there's a lot of things going into that. Also, Avengers is a 2 hour long movie. She-Hulk was, I think, 6 hours long in total, something like that. It's funny how that works, isn't it? That, if you've got a show that lasts, 3 times as much as the movie, then it's probably going to cost more for those CGI things, etc. People are basically trying to say that She-Hulk is worse than, and let's be honest, budget never means anything as regards a movie anyway. You know, you can have a really good movie on next to no budget. Look at like the original Star Wars, for example, or something crazy like that. You know, it happens. So I think people aren't looking at the point. There's another one as well. I forgot to say about this one. The Marvels. So obviously the Marvels we discussed last week, and I think there's a lot of hit pieces out on that because a lot of people don't like Captain Marvel, don't like Brie Larson. Let's put that aside for this one, because what the new thing is that I believe it's Nia DaCosta, if I'm getting the name right. I could be wrong. Sorry if I've got the name of the director wrong. But she moved on to another film during the post-production of the Marvels. Now, this is a norm in the industry because once post-production is happening, you can basically just give notes. You don't need to be there for everything because you can just go, I like this, I didn't like that. It's like a teacher marking a test, right? You don't need to be there for that. Your teacher can do that online. They can do it at home. You don't need to be there. So, you know, all that type of stuff, right? So that, but also the fact that like it's a Marvel movie, so it's a little more hands off anyway. Like most of those will probably have oversights from producers and stuff at the same time. So if the director in question, sorry, I'm not going to say the name anymore in case I have got it wrong. The director in question wasn't around, then you could say, oh, could you guys look at this for me because I'm kind of busy on this other job? Because let's be honest, the creative industry is insular at the same time. They all understand that like there's movies to movies to movies, right? James Gunn, for example, even though he was working for DC, he knew he had a commitment to Marvel still until Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was finished. Like, and that was okay with DC because they knew that that was just the case. That's just how these things work. That's just how these deals work in Hollywood. So again, trying to kind of hit on the Marvels by saying basically the director was trying to duck out before the movie was done, which obviously it wasn't the case. But the reason I'm saying all that is to preface something that I am now saying, which is kind of hilarious considering all of that. So that was the preface to what we're actually discussing, which is Echo. So Echo came out with a trailer. Now, a lot of people have been saying Echo is going to be made. Echo is going to be a point waste of time. Why are we getting a series about Echo? And then the opinions started to change this week because we got a trailer. It is a 5-episode run season that's all going to drop on January 10th. And it is part of this new Marvel style going forward, which I think is where they're kind of, I don't know if they're doing the showcases anymore, the 1-hour specials, but I think they're maybe thinking of doing something more kind of like that kind of worked, but like let's not do it exactly like that with the Marvel spotlights, which is going to be more grounded superheroes like Daredevil, like etc., right? And it's going to like hone in on characters and circumstances and stuff like that. And Echo is the first one of these, the first Marvel spotlight show. So obviously that's interesting because it says that they're really trying to diversify because they understand that needs to be what they're doing, and they understand that there is a need and a want for something less grandiose at times from the Marvel universe. So obviously that's all great, but what I think is interesting is how many people's opinions changed with the trailer, because, and this, I don't know if I'm just kind of being unfair here or what, but because Kingpin is in this show and seems to be quite a strong piece of this show, and because Daredevil is going to appear, I think a lot of people have kind of sided with this show very quickly. I think that might change again once the show comes out, because they might say, oh, well, they weren't barely in it, and I didn't like the main character, which I just see coming from a mile off. Because they always do that. But it's funny to see how quickly people's opinions can change, because people loved Marvel. People then hated Marvel. People thought Marvel was done as soon as Variety dropped that article. And now we're in a position where people are saying, is Marvel back? And don't get me wrong, the first 2 points of what I've just said happened over a good long period. So fair enough, right? The last two happened within a week. People changed from a really good opinion of Marvel, a sort of negative opinion of Marvel, to a relatively hopeful opinion of Marvel. Also, people are seemingly happy about the Marvels just because it's going to be a nice big cameo at the end. Like, this is the thing that really irks me with the community, right? Because it feels like they only care when something is like paying off something else, or like a cameo, or like this character that I've loved since I was 10 is showing up in the movies, and it's like, okay, but we can do other characters as well. It just feels like there's no desire to learn about new stories, learn about new ideas, new concepts. Don't get me wrong, I think there is some place for comic accuracy. For example, there's been a comment that's come out about Echo saying that Echo in the show will have different powers to the comics. She won't be able to just what's the word? She won't be able to copy, sort of similar to Taskmaster's abilities, copy people's abilities and what they do, and like basically echo them. She will instead have these kind of other powers, and that it was apparently lame that her original power was such. I don't think that would be lame. I think that is quite cool, and I like Echo as the character she was. But at the same time, I'm okay to see how that goes, because I've not read every Echo comic. I don't feel like I have it's different to Ms. Marvel, for example, because Echo is not many people's, not many people will know Echo prior to, Hawkeye and now Echo. And so it feels like it's okay to have her be changed. But Miss Marvel, for example, was a very different circumstance, because it felt like it was a change that really flew in the face of a lot of Miss Marvel fans, especially because Miss Marvel had become a poster girl, so to speak, for a lot of different things, like the new generation of superheroes, and kind of not just that, but also she had comics that were very much about her at the center. She had a game that she was like the main protagonist of. So there's a lot of things there that I feel like are different. And this is the thing, right? When a character isn't mainstream, there's no real ownership over the character. But when it is, it's like if you change Superman now to be, I don't know, I'm trying to think of even an example, but if you changed him to be a magic user now, even though he's always been this kind of strong alien character, right? If he suddenly started using magic, obviously cool for an Elseworlds or a what if story, but for Superman himself, like if you just change that permanently going forward, that's weird, right? That's like people wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that, and I'm not even a big Superman fan. I just feel like it's like disingenuous to the character that you've created thus far. If you want to create a Superman-esque magic wielder, you create a new character, a la, I don't know, Adam Warlock, for example. Very similar kind of son of a planet, son of prodigal son type thing, all type of stuff. So yeah, but my view on Echo, and I will say this, I think the trailer was amazing. I'm very excited. I don't care for this idea that everything has to be dark in movies and shows, and I don't want, a lot of people think that society should reflect art should imitate life, and thus, because we're going through a sort of rough period globally because of wars and recession and the pandemic that we're still recovering from, essentially, that we should have dark storylines. I kind of believe that that's okay. Yeah, sure, you want to feel represented in your media, right? But also, you can have media that is not that. Right, you can have media that is lighthearted and all about hope and future, and doesn't need to be full of blood and brutality. But that's me. I know a lot of people think otherwise. But in this instance, I think this is very worthwhile. I think that Echo having a more brutal edge to it is really good for Marvel, and is really good for the brand to branch into more. Because this show, and I forgot to mention this too, Echo is going to be the first TV MA show, so a mature audience, and obviously that's very exciting in itself too, for Marvel, because it says a lot about where Marvel expects that they should go next. Marvel needs to realize that its audience has changed and its audience has adapted, and whilst I don't personally believe that it all needs to be dull and grim and bleak, some of it can be good. Some of that stuff can be good. And I mean, Daredevil, for example, the original Daredevil, one of the probably better superhero shows of all time, and it was grim, it was dark in places, and so Yeah, I'm very excited to see what Echo has to bring to the table. I love all the representation that it is doing. I love the fact that we're getting some real Kingpin moments with Maya specifically. I think that's going to be a really interesting relationship. And of course, I'll enjoy seeing Daredevil again. But this is Maya's show, this is Echo's show, and I'm very excited to see how that character pans out. But with all that said, guys, I hope you are looking forward to Echo 2. I hope you're looking forward to the Marvels next week. We will be discussing that next week. We'll be reviewing that. If you are enjoying this podcast, if you are enjoying this video version, or whether you're listening to it in audio, follow, subscribe, like, do all those things that are available on the platform you're doing them on, and keep posted for the next few weeks. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of things coming up. So thank you guys as always, and I'll see you later.